Subscribe to your own state gardening magazine. Simply visit sbsmags.com and click on one of the 21 states where we publish a magazine to subscribe today, or for faster service, call 888-265-3600.
It's late winter going into early spring, and that means it's the perfect time to prune roses. So come on back and we'll show you how to prune your rose bushes. So pruning back our repeat blooming roses is one of the major garden chores for late winter and early spring. And this is a variety called New Dawn. It's been on the market for quite a while, and it will bloom this spring with wonderful pink to light pink blooms. And now's the perfect time to prune something like this. If you have something like a Lady Banks rose, for example, that will bloom once in the spring and that's it. So we don't want to prune that one now because we'll prune off all the flower buds. But our New Dawns, our hybrid teas, and just about any other of our repeat bloomers are what you want to prune now. Before we start cutting, we need to think about a couple things. First of all, roses put out branches called canes, and these canes can get quite lengthy if they're just left to grow. The longer they get and the longer you leave them on the plant, the more energy the plant is going to put into these branches, and will put less energy into putting on beautiful flowers in the spring. So our goal is to reduce not only the number of canes, but also the length of these canes. The previous year's growth will be green, and you'll even see that some of the thorns are still green. 2-year growth will be a more dingy brown color, and then growth that's several years old will likely be dead, and you'll be able to tell it by its gray appearance right away. So here's one we've already done, and as you can see, it's quite different than the big Leviathan type bush we still have to work on over there. I just want to point out a couple things. First of all the dead material from the center of the bush has been completely removed. That's the first thing we're going to do over there. Second thing is, you'll notice that all of my cuts are angled, and they are approximately parallel to the closest bud on the outside of the branches. And so when we prune it that way, we're left with something that's almost sort of vase shaped, which is what we're trying to achieve when we prune these roses down. Now, as we start this project, we want to remember the 4 Ds of pruning: dead, diseased, damaged, and decayed. And on this hybrid tea rose, and you'll find most hybrid tea roses have a more or less upright growth, there's quite a bit of dead material on here, so that's what we want to remove first. So we'll start making the first cuts on the dead material. Now here's a situation on this same rose where it looks like half the cane is dead all the way to the top, but the lower half seems to be green and functioning normally. So I'm going to follow the cane down until I come to a bud that's pointing to the outside. And again, I'm going to come up about 1/4 of an inch above that bud and cut at an angle. And remove everything from the bud up. So now in here we want to thin the center of the bush out. That is, we want to reduce the number of canes actually coming up out of the ground. And as I said earlier, we want to really trim the ones that will protrude out over the confines of the bed, out in front of the bed border. So I'm going to start there, and I'm just going to take these right down to the ground. So now we have this New Dawn down to a size that's first of all manageable. We've reduced the number of canes down in the center of the bush so we can maximize light penetration. And there are plenty of new buds on these existing canes that will give rise to new growth this year, and we should see a lot of bright pink blooms from our New Dawn here. So those are some tips on pruning some roses. Certainly there's more than one way to do just about anything in the garden, and if you have a way that works for you, then that's the right way. For State by State Gardening, I'm Kerry Heafner.
Subscribe to your own state gardening magazine. Simply visit sbsmags.com and click on one of the 21 states where we publish a magazine to subscribe today, or for faster service, call 888-265-3600.